Right. Dog still strong. Not really nerfed. Let's see. Do some beast in ice, I guess. How much of these do you need? 27? I think I have some of these. So here's the thing, the stones are worthless, so I've been collecting like 150 Stygian stones, and they're absolutely worthless, unfortunately. So yeah, story of my life. The dupes are not removed from the game, they're all still in. So the stones are literally worthless now, which is very, very unfortunate. But yeah, I shouldn't complain too much. So let's... Why? Because they have been duped. Like every season there's basically dupes for stackable materials. So, wait, where's this beast in ice anyway? Stupid. This is not it. This is it. So, most of the time before, when the dupes were in, they actually deleted the materials. You remember it was it season 3? Where the dupe, and they basically just, you know, everybody who had more like 100, they just removed everything down to 100. This time it seems like they didn't do anything. So the dupes seem to be just still in the game. So they didn't remove it. So now basically the Stygian stones are worthless. I mean, they sell for like 5 million. So it's a little unfortunate, I feel like. I feel like they should have removed those. Because the legit players never like banged on so many of these. Oh, this is actually a decent amount. How do I feel about the changes? Honestly, I think it's a buff to Wand+Focus, and I think it's a slight nerf to two-inner weapon. What does this even drop? I don't even know. I just want to get rid of these real quick. Because I still need one more Uber unique. Yeah, but it's not really so much lower, honestly. I mean, it depends. If you have decent lucky hit chance, it's still high. And I feel like the damage buff of the lightning spears is actually a huge buff to Wand+Focus. Because with Wand+Focus, you basically had like not so good damage on the lightning spears. And now with adding, I don't know how much it is, 30% more or something like that, right? Now it actually feels like a buff to the Wand+Focus version. Because you get a much bigger proportion of your damage from the lightning spears than you did before. And on the other hand, you know, the amount of conjuration doesn't really get lower. It's pretty much still the same. Because you have other sources for frozen orbs, right? So you have all the you have all the frozen orb enchantment, for example. So I feel like it's not really a nerf at all for like Wand+Focus. And also they said like it's not a nerf for 90% of the players. Since well, basically the story is it is in a very, very high end, and it mainly affects the two-handed version because you don't have so much lucky hit, and you don't have so many like so much attack speed to actually get conjurations. So that is basically mainly the affected build there. What is all these things? I don't even know these items, man. I have like 56% cooldown reduction or something like that. I mean, I don't really feel like... I mean, I'm gonna show you in Hordes, like, after this. I don't really feel like it's a nerf at all. I feel like I do more damage now because my lightning spears do much more damage than before. And I actually get, like, a good amount of those. Like, also how these tormented bosses, they go down, like, way faster than before, I feel like. Because the lightning spears just do so much more damage. Damage percent affix on weapon make a significant difference? No, they don't make any difference at all. I mean, I don't know what affix you're talking about exactly, but... This is decent. This is not... bad. Frozen Orb damage got buffed at the start of the season. Like, the base damage just got buffed by like 20% or so. Don't know the exact number. I think 20 or 25%, somewhere around that. I mean, look, I have like 8 lightning spears outright, and now I'm doing nothing, right? It's not like... So, what I'm saying is there is Frozen Orb damage, right? And it does damage, and lightning spears do more damage than before. So, especially in the bosses, I'm faster than before. And I kind of feel that. And also in the Hordes, like, I don't feel any major difference in the AoE, because with Wand+Focus, you never had issues with staying up on your conjuration counts, right? So if you're spawning less frozen orbs now and you're playing 2-handed weapon, then you know, might have trouble getting conjuration stacks up. But with Wand+Focus, it's not an issue at all. Since when does this drop Asus boots, by the way? Or was it just RNG? No, it seems to be dropping Asus boots. No, I'm seasonal. So, what do we have here? This cost reduction. Like, Pain Gorges has cooldown reduction. Oh, it's so weird to me. Look at these. Right, I think I have 2 more. No, Lightning Spear damage was buffed. Not Lightning Spear damage was buffed, the damage of the Splintering Aspect was buffed. Frozen Orb damage got buffed at the beginning of this season. What I'm talking about is the relative damage. So, Lightning Spear does arc less often, and you get less cooldown reduction on Lightning Spear, which brings the relative damage of the Frozen Orb up compared to the damage of the Lightning Spear. So that makes this Frozen Orb, like, since I'm playing a hybrid build with Frozen Orb still doing damage, that brings this build actually up, because, you know, we lose less damage because we basically play a hybrid build, right? That's what I mean. It brings the Frozen Orb damage up relative to the Lightning Spear. Then ideal attack speed? No. I don't think so. It depends on your gear. But I'm running the... I don't even know what one I'm running. I'm running... can't make the math right now. I think I'm running 94 or 93.9. I don't even know what it is. You would have to check the description. Ego ones? No. All junk. Oh, this is a 4.0. I was still looking for one of these. That's good. For now. So I'm going to show you like the Hordes is... I mean, I feel like it's even buffed. Like this build, I feel like it's buffed. This... Also, Lightning Spear itself, you will never find out attack speed breakpoints for Lightning Spear. The attack is just random. Like, you will never figure out travel time and stuff like that. So, I wouldn't really count Lightning Spear attack speed at all. I mean, it does something, but, you know, you will never be able to figure out a breakpoint or something like that. Just accept that it's, like, basically RNG. 80 barriers, how it's going. I really don't feel any nerf in this. And at the bosses, I feel like I do significantly more damage than before. And in this phase, you get like slightly less frozen orbs, and you definitely feel that you get less frozen orbs. This is definitely significantly less than before. But with the Wand+Focus, I still like have almost 0 cooldown on my Lightning Spear. The usual one. I don't play 2 in a weapon. I mean, at least for me, it doesn't really feel like a nerf. I mean, I can see, you know, if you were playing 200 stuff and you were on the edge of having a good cooldown, then you're definitely getting nerfed. Because you will have to do more to get the cooldown going. I promise, I do, like, in this stage, the mobs die so fast that you really don't get a fluent gameplay. So you need to wait until like wave 3 or wave 4 to like really see a difference here. But so I feel like removing the arc, like the, you know, lightning spears, the arc effect has been removed basically. I feel like I have so many lightning spears in this stage that the higher damage of the lightning spear actually benefits me. But it's hard to it's actually hard to measure. I mean, if you look at the number of frozen orbs which are flying, right? That is so for the ones which is spawned by the winter glass, that is a significant nerf. I feel like it's spawning at least, I don't know, 100% less or something like that. So maybe, so I think it has been cut in half. Well, not 100% less. Or it spawns 50% of what it did before, basically. That's kind of my feeling. Because the most frozen orbs which come out of me, I come from frozen orb enchantment, actually. So the conjurations seem to spawn significantly less frozen orbs. I think that change is really significant. But on the other hand, then they basically buffed the lightning spear damage, which makes Frozen Orb enchantment pretty strong, because the Frozen Orb enchantment gives you the cooldown reduction as well. My gear is exactly the gear in my planner. We're just significantly weaker, obviously. But my gear is not good. Like, I have very, very bad gear, actually. I mean, it's not very, very bad. But, you know, there's people who have, like, 10 times better gear than me. I really didn't... I do not have proper masterworking on my gear. I do not have any 3 masterworking crit items or whatsoever. I only have min rolls on crit damage. So really, my gear is not good. My gear is at the low end of what you can have. In most rolls, it's actually on the low end. I only got a decent Fists of Fate, really. And I got an okay Winterglass, not even a good one. So really, you don't really need the perfect items for this build. You only need really perfect items if you want to play 2 and a weapon, but with Wand+Focus you get away with way less gear. Way less gear. Like, if you look at my gear, I have a 2 masterworking crit Shaco. My turret has 3 crits on damage reduction. I guess that's pretty nice, but, you know, it is like it is. These Fists of Fate are okay, but they're not insane. I mean, they're alright. And I still have to switch this pants. Forget about these pants at all. Like, it's complete garbage. My Asus are okay. Greater FX crit damage, 2 crits. That's actually alright, I guess. This weapon is garbage. It has 2 crits on a min roll crit damage. So don't talk about it. This is even more garbage. It has 1 greater FX, some crit chance, not even high rolled. Right? Some lightning spear. So my gear is basically trash. Right? This is also min roll, lightning spear cooldown reduction. Not crazy gear at all. I don't even have a 20% Tarasha ring, right? And I only have a greater FX Conch Mastery with a 0.2 base Conjuration cooldown, and I have 3 crits on those, so this is basically average, and also only has 80%. So I'm really far away from optimized gear. But I'm not gonna optimize this any further. I mean, I already have like a second character now where I can make the other builds. I'm just behind with making different builds because I couldn't trade. And today I started trading for Chain Lightning build. So I'm really good at this point, right? I really don't see the need of optimizing my gear. If I would optimize my gear and I would test this, how far this would go in the pit, I don't think it would be so far behind the 200 weapon variant. Maybe like 5 tiers or though. That's kind of my assumption there. But, you know, I'm not gonna do it anyway. Like, I'm not gonna re-roll all my gear. I'm not gonna remaster work everything just for, you know, getting like a 20 to 30% damage buff in the end. Oh, I should pay attention to what's happening. So yeah, I mean, with this, you really don't need good gear. I mean, I should probably do another ring and give it more lightning spear cooldown reduction. That would actually be something very significant, just to remove the min roll there and get a max roll. That would be a significant difference, actually. Yeah, temper values are... I mean, they are important. But again, it's min-maxing. So the difference between a min roll crit damage and a max roll crit damage is huge, right? If you have that on 4 items, that's actually a difference in like almost 50% damage there. So it is really a huge difference. But as you can see, you don't need it. Like, unless you want to push high tier pits, you know, you will need it. But for this content, you don't need it at all. Like, it's absolutely fine doing it without. Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't brick anything, but I usually just get min rolls. Like, I rarely get good rolls. But that's okay for me. Like, I just don't have the time to invest. If you play like 8 to 10 hours a day, obviously you have the time and the gear to invest into min-maxing. But if you don't have like these, you know, if you don't have like that amount of time, you know, you might as well just, you know, go with what you can get. Like, I don't need to strive for perfection at all. Don't have the time for that. I rather like play different builds. Which is what I don't like about Lightning Spear, because you're basically being tempted to throw Lightning Spear in every build. And I feel like that's hurting the game, actually. I feel like, even though, you know, it just got... I mean, I don't even call it a nerf. Like, it has... I would say that's changed a little bit. I guess my problem is that the dominance of Lightning Spear... Like, for example, if you want to play a Chain Lightning build, right? I want to make a Chain Lightning build. So I have to actively not play Lightning Spear, even though it would be better. Right? So I could just take a random aspect on my Chain Lightning build and exchange it for the Splintering Energy, and I would do triple the damage. Without even like focusing on it on any way, just by putting that aspect on. And I don't really like that you don't have to commit into the Lightning Spear, right? If you would have to commit into Lightning Spear, like for example, if you would have to get like skill ranks into it, or, you know, something which would make it not so easy, right? But it literally, all it takes is one aspect, right? You just take one aspect when your build is overpowered, as long as it can spawn Lightning Spears. And then now you have like all these people posting build, oh, this is the best Chain Lightning build, oh, this is the best Spark build, this is the best Ball Lightning build. So you have all these people posting these builds, and they are all just well, I'm not saying that they're trash builds, they're just bad builds with slamming on Lightning Spear so they get along. Right? And that's what I don't like about this aspect. That it's just way too strong for the investment you need. If it should be like 2 aspects or something like that, right? If it would be an interaction, like let's say there was 2 aspects, right? The one would be, you know, Lightning Spear's arc, and the other one would be Lightning Spears do an extra 500% damage when they arc. If you would make it like 2 aspects, then it would actually go more in line with the other builds. Like what would happen is, you know, this regular Lightning Spear build would lose around 30% damage from an aspect, which would be alright. And, you know, you could put it back on, like, the Lightning Spear aspect or something like that. You could just give it this 30% damage. But you would lose 2 aspects. And that would mean, if you want to put this on a Chain Lightning build, it would actually require 2 aspects, taking, you know, somewhere around 70% damage away from your Chain Lightning build. And then it would not be worth it anymore. But it would actually not weaken the current Lightning Spear builds. And I feel like that would be a great solution for the problem that, you know, all the builds are right now just inflated with Lightning Spears. Same with the Winter Glass, right? So you put the Winter Glass on, but you don't play Frozen Orb. I feel like it shouldn't be like this, right? I mean, it's, you know, it's fine that it works. Like, it's a cool build. I mean, it's cool that Sorg has some power finally. But I feel like it shouldn't work like the interaction with the Winter Glass. It's a goddamn Frozen Orb unique. You should have to play Frozen Orb with this item. You shouldn't have to you shouldn't be able to play a build playing a Winter Glass, which is for Frozen Orb, without casting Frozen Orbs. I feel like it invalidates the Frozen Orb build itself, right? So even though that it's good, that it has a lot of power, it does a lot of damage, it just destroys the overall idea of the builds and the items. Like, you cannot play Frozen Orb without Lightning Spear. I mean, you can play Frozen Orb without Lightning Spear, but it's there's no point, right? you can play the regular Frozen Orb, but it's just gonna be like 10 times weaker than the Lightning Spear one, and all you need to do is throw on one aspect. You make the build 10 times stronger, and that's just not good. It's not healthy. The aspect is way too overpowered in the state that it is. It should at least scale with conjuration damage or something like that. Right? If that it scales with crit damage just makes it like so strong. You know, maybe it could just scale with conjuration damage, for example. Or, you know, something else than crit damage, because crit damage is freaking overpowered. Because you don't have to trade off anything for putting crit damage everywhere. For a fact, you know, crit damage, you can get it on every single item, which makes it extremely strong. If it would, for example, scale with conjuration damage, then, you know, you would have a lower base damage, and you would actually add build variety on the items. Because right now, every item is crit chance, crit damage, and int, or crit chance, crit damage, attack speed, whatever, right? It's always the same stats on every item to make this build work, and it's destroying the build variety. If it would be conjuration damage, which cannot be rolling on those, it would be way more interesting, because then you could actually, you know, you could say, oh, do I want to put some lucky hit on here, or do I maybe want to put, you know, whatever, right? And not like, oh, damn, yeah, I have to put crit damage on every of my items, because, you know, Lightning Spear scales of that, and I need 85% crit on my gear, because otherwise Lightning Spear is not gonna crit. It's just taking away so much variety there. This is horrible. Okay. You're not wasting points. Why would you waste points? So you cannot play this build without attack speed. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get limited by attack speed. And you will not be able to cast Lightning Spears, because you're just gonna be on... Well, you're not gonna be on cooldown, but you need a certain amount of attack speed to be able to permacast Lightning Spears. Yeah, no, that amulet is trash. The problem is, I feel like the concept of the amulet is still cool. The problem is, Crackling energy just has a limit on the ground. I don't know how many it is. Like, you can only have like 30 Crackling energy or 40. Like, it's a number how many you can have on the ground. And it destroys every, like, Crackling energy pickup kind of build instantly. Even Lightning Spear enchant is trash, because the amount of Crackling energy is so limited. If you could take full advantage of Crackling energy, if there wouldn't be like a limit how many of those can spawn, like all these builds would all of a sudden be playable. But they cannot do it because probably it's, again, their server resource problem. I don't have mana shield on my skill tree. The changes are irrelevant for most of the builds. You don't need to adapt to it at all. It doesn't change anything. I don't know if I should know. I wonder if I will find another, like, pants to wear at some point. I mean, it might be 40 or something like that, but it's... I mean, if you just go to the dummies and shoot them, you will see Crackling energy despawning. So if you fire Chain Lightning with the Crackling energies thing on a dummy, it takes like literally like 2 or 3 seconds until Crackling energy starts despawning. It is very, very limited. So if you would be like, for example, like meleeing a boss, right? So there's two things wrong with Crackling energy. Like, first of all, the limit. Second of all, the pickup radius of it is way too low. It would have to be like 3 times the radius for pickup. So you could basically face tank a boss, right? And pick up the Crackling energy around it. But you cannot do this. You basically have to circle around the boss to pick it up, right? And it's just stupid. Like, the radius should be just way bigger. Yeah. But the problem is the amulet itself is just trash, right? The stats on it are horrible. Because you gain so much damage off the passive ranks on an amulet. And so the only legit reason to play it would be the Nova. No, the Crackling Energy does no damage anyway, right? So the damage of Crackling Energy is completely irrelevant. And the Nova is just a 15% chance whenever you pick up Crackling Energy to fire, or whatever chance it is, I don't remember. And it has nothing to do with how much Crackling Energy is on the ground or whatever. It's just, you know, you pick it up and you can cast a Nova, that's it. I mean, you can already see, if I stay... Like, I have very little Crackling Energy generation, right? So just focus these two balls on top of me. They will soon start despawning, as soon as I get enough. Again, in this build, it's not really relevant, because this doesn't generate a whole lot of Crackling Energy. But if you actually generate a lot of Crackling Energy, it's gonna despawn, like, extremely fast. Like, I don't know how long it takes. But they will start despawning at some point. I'm just gonna stay here and wait until these despawn so you can see. Like there's probably around like 20 to 30 right now on the ground. I think it's like 40 or 50 maybe. Somewhere around that range. And they don't expire after like some time or anything. They just despawn whenever there's too many on the ground. See, there's gone. Spawned. So now you will see, I mean, you could see them despawning if I would know which ones were last. But I mean, this is around, I mean, I don't know, this is like 10, 20, 30, 40. It's 40 or 50. Like, I don't know the exact number. But they will despawn. And it actually matters a lot if you generate a lot of Crackling Energy. It despawns very, very fast. And the problem is you cannot pick them up because the radius for pickup is just too low. So if they would change that, then the Crackling Energy builds would be pretty cool, actually. Yeah, I mean, Crackling Energy does no damage, unfortunately. And I feel like it would be cool if Crackling Energy would actually do damage, but it just doesn't. And they keep changing, like, these Crackling Energy nodes, and they, you know, they buff it by, like, you know, 30% once in a while or whatever, but it basically needs, like, a 500% buff or something like that to be worth it. So, yeah, the damage of Crackling Energy itself is irrelevant. But the amulet could be like the Acer Dora's amulet. It could be very, very cool if there wouldn't be this limit and more pickup radius. Well, I mean, cooldown reduction is a different attribute, right? So it goes on different pieces. But cooldown reduction is the most important. And the other ones are, it depends. Yeah, then I mean the Nova damage, you can scale that, but it is not crazy strong, right? I mean, I tried this build when it first got buffed in Season 4, and, you know, my Novas were hitting for like 4 million or something like that. You know, which is alright, but, you know, if it would have to be 50 million or something like that to be viable. Because, so either your Nova hits for 4 million and you can cast 10 Novas a second, then it's cool. Or your Nova hits for 50 million and you can cast 1 a second, then it's cool. But if your Nova hits 4 million and you can cast, like, you know, 1 a second, it's just irrelevant. they could also like increase the chance drastically to like 70% or something like that. Because you just cannot pick up so much Crackling energy anyway. And you know, sacrificing an Amulet slot is just such a extreme investment. So you might as well just say, yeah, you know what, 50%, just have fun and cast all those Novas, why not? Because if you want to create a Nova build, like Nova builds have been spamming Novas. That was always the cool about Nova builds. And this Asadora's Nova, it doesn't even spawn once a second, so it's not a Nova build, it's just like random garbage. It's not so much for millions. You just scale it with crit damage like every other skill. I mean, not 4 million base damage, right? So the base damage on it is like 200k or something like that, and then it runs through all your multipliers. I mean, if I had one, I could show you that it does that much damage. But I don't have one. I salvaged those instantly. But it's more about the multipliers, not really about the crit damage. What a stupid run. So it can definitely scale relatively high. But, I mean, honestly, it's not even worth, like, putting Devouring Blaze ranks on your Amulet or something like that. It's so bad it actually is. Lag. Can the lag please stop? Oh, it's so bad I have like... Ah, now it's getting better again. Okay. Wonderful. But, you know, I feel the build is gonna be there at some point, I feel like. At some point. I don't know if they're gonna change the limit on Crackling energy ever, because it probably has like some server performance issues. But yeah, I mean, I still feel like Sorc has like... I mean, it's definitely in a better state with the buffs. It's more in line with the power level of the other classes. I mean, this build is gonna get nerfed. Probably not mid-season, probably after the season. And depending on what they do with the expansion, it might be pretty balanced. It's very good that they pulled Barb down. That it was really important. They couldn't just keep increasing power levels of everything else. So I think it's very, very good that they gathered those Barb keystone passives. I think that was very, very important. Yeah, but what do you want with another enchantment slot? The Sorc enchantments are garbage. Like, even if I had another enchantment slot, I don't even need it. Like, what would I put in there? I could play... So, if I get a third enchantment slot, I could probably put Ice Blade's enchantment in there and it would literally give me, like, a tiny bit of extra cooldown. And I don't even have another enchantment because the enchantments are just garbage. Like, Sorc basically has 3 enchantments which are worth playing at all. Like, you have Ice Blade enchantment, you have Well, let's make it 5 enchantments together with teleport and fireball, right? So teleport and fireball are speed farming enchantments, basically, and leveling enchantments, but they have no room in late game. So besides that, there's literally 3 enchantments. There's Frozen Orb enchantment, which is decent. Then there is Firebolt enchantment, which you just use to enable burning synergy, and the enchantment itself is garbage. And then there's Ice Blades enchantment, which you use for some cooldown reduction. And all the other enchantments are useless. Like, you can just delete them from the game. They're just maybe for early game, like leveling or something like that. But besides that, none of the enchantments is... Like, if you look at them, Spark enchantment, useless. Frostbolt enchantment literally does nothing. Arclish enchantment, who would want to stun, like, mobs around you, right? Fireball enchantment, again, this is just early game. Ice Shards enchantment... You know, it works, but it does horrible damage, basically, compared to other stuff. Chain Lightning enchantment is useless, has been, like, nerfed, so it can only fire, like, every 5 seconds or so. It's, like, completely garbage. Charge Bolts enchantment, what does it even do? Like, nothing? What is Incinerate enchantment? Wow, you get, like, a serpent throwing Incinerate? Garbage. Frozen Orb enchantment is good. Flame Shield enchantment? Yeah, maybe if you play hardcore. Frost Nova enchantment? Pfft, just remove it. Ice Armor enchantment? Remove it. Teleport enchantment, just for teleporting speed in early game. Ice Blitz enchantment, decent. Hydra enchantment, they are just 5 seconds and just 500, so it's completely useless. Lightning Spear enchantment is okay, but through the limit of Crackling energy, this is literally gonna spawn you like 2 lightning spears, or 1 lightning spear every like 2 or 3 seconds, so this is also useless. Firewall enchantment is just for early game. Blizzard enchantment does nothing. Meteor enchantment, the lucky hit chance is just so low that this... It looks cool, but in reality it does nothing. Like... Ball Lightning enchantment is good, but it can only... I don't know, I think it can only trigger once on a boss, so it's basically useless. So most of these enchantments are completely useless. Like if you, for example, do Meteor enchantment instead of, right, Firebolt. And, you know, I have 220% lucky hit chance or something like that. What is it? So I have 177 plus 25 plus the lightning spear. So I have 220 lucky hit chance or something like that. And now, just watch how many meteors you will see now. Like, you literally won't see, like, more than 10 over the entire run. Like, there's a second somewhere. Right? So it just doesn't proc. Right? It is completely useless. And even if you play a Meteor build, you put it on because you think it might be doing something. But in reality, the proc rate of it is so shitty that it just doesn't do anything. And that would be the one enchantment which would actually be cool. Like, which would be like a cool class fantasy, would be the Meteor enchantment. Like... Oh yeah, I want to play Chain Lightning because there's a very high lucky hit chance and it should spawn like a shitload of meteors and everything is going to be destroyed. Like, that would be such a cool build if you would just, you know, increase the lucky hit chance of the Meteor enchantment by 5 times or something like that. And it would still not be a strong build. It would be a cool build, but it wouldn't be strong. Right, so it literally doesn't proc. Because the chances are just so low. Like, once in a while you see a Meteor, right? But... And that's the problem, even if you give me a third enchantment slot, it changes nothing. I have nothing to put on there. Give me a third weapon slot, that would be way more interesting. Right, let's remove this. And now let's... Yeah, no, I don't even do the other one. So this is basically... These 2 and Ice Blades are pretty much the 3 enchantments you can use, and that's it. All the other ones are useless. Well, if you... so the problem is you need a lot of multipliers with that. So you need a Tarasha Ring, you need a Starless Skies, you need a Storm Swell, you need all your multipliers from your Paragon and shit. And... Of course it can hit for 4 million, right? So... I mean, even the Frozen Orb can hit for 4 million. It's basically just a regular spell that gets multiplied with all your stuff. And the base damage is whatever it says, right? So... Well, first of all, you're not at 2k crit damage because you're looking at the wrong number, right? How can you even have 270? So, you're not never at 2k crit damage. Just stop reading that number. So, your crit damage number is the 844 here, right? 2k is not your crit damage. So, don't get confused with that. But if you have all the multiplier stuff and you say it doesn't hit for more than 200k, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like with all your multiplier, there's literally nothing which just hits for 200k, right? Like even Spark hits for like 1 million or something like that. Yeah, I don't have a good I don't have good crit damage. I don't need it. I mean, again, I have like shit gear, so I have the. I don't even have this goddamn aspect maxed until now. Well, the crit damage what is displayed is not your real crit damage. The number is just the one which is the one if you open the tooltip. So crit damage is not this number here, not this 1300. It's the 844. That's your crit damage. Right where it says you have 844 of this stat from items in Paragon. That's the real crit damage there. But I mean, in the end, like, it doesn't really matter. Like for this amulet with the Isadora's one, it doesn't matter if you have crit damage or whatever damage you have, right? It scales with all your damage. I mean, it should scale with all your damage. Maybe it's bugged, who knows? Won't I have one of these? Like, there's no chance I have it. I wouldn't keep that shit, yeah. I mean, I guess overall it just depends what they do in the expansion. I still don't like the sword class in this game overall. I mean, I only play mage classes anyway in all games, but I'm just the kind of how it works, like the squishiness. I mean, it's much better this season, but I feel like you should really like this game basically needs life leech, and this needs a way to scale survivability. I mean, the frozen orbs are just much, much lower. I wonder if there's something wrong with my skill tree, but I don't think so. But this is a new character, but it's basically finished, so it shouldn't be a difference to my other one. Yeah, but the chain lightning is not bad. I feel like they actually did a good job on the chain lightning pants because it kind of self-sustains resource unless you're spamming too hard. So usually the builds they make, they don't really work because you run out of resource early. That's why early game you pretty much only play Firewall because that is like native resource generation in it. And I feel like they did a good job on the early chain lightning build. Like it can sustain its mana relatively good and it does relatively good damage. So most of the other early game builds they made are basically unplayable or like very, very bad. Well, with Incinerate it was a little bit different, but you know, the build was bad in general. Because you would just be slow because you would have to stop all the time, but the mana was fine, I guess. But before, like, all the leveling builds, like Chain Lightning, Ice Shards, whatever it will be, Blizzard also, you couldn't play Blizzard early because you would have problems with the mana. I guess they did a, like, good job with the Chain Lightning early game build there. Yeah, you're not at 1895 crit damage. You're looking at the wrong number. You're probably at like 1200 or 1300 or something like that. No, there's no way you have 1900 crit damage, dude. I mean, maybe if you play 2 rare rings with crit damage, then maybe. Yeah, where it says you have whatever crit damage from Paragon and gear. That's the real number. Yeah, so basically you're playing 2 rare rings then. And you also not, so you're playing 2 rare rings and rare gloves and you have crit on everything. Then you can probably, I don't even know if you can get that high. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, you cannot have 865 from Paragon. Paragon crit is, what is it, 350%? Like, Destruction Grip is like 300% and there's another 50 on some of the fireboards. So from Paragon you really can't have that much crit. So something must be wrong with your story there. So it says you have 86 5.9 crit from items and Paragon. Is that what it says? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about all the time, from items and Paragon. So that's your crit number there. You have 865. That is your crit. Right? So this is 844. This is your crit. But it doesn't make sense because you said you have 1895 and that doesn't match up your number there, right? Because if you have 865, then you should be at 1400 in that tooltip. But you said you have 1895, so that doesn't really make sense. So something is wrong there. The highest crit you can basically reach if you play one rare ring and rare gloves, you probably can reach like somewhere around 1400 or so, maybe 1500. I don't know the exact number. You can probably get like somewhere around double. Yeah, I mean 1.3k is already pretty high. I don't think it's a nerf at all. I don't feel like a huge difference. Yes, you get significantly less frozen orbs and the conjuration numbers are a little bit lower, definitely. But on the other hand, what? On the other hand, I feel like the lightning spears do more damage. So I don't really feel like it's a huge nerf at all. Like for Infernal Hordes, it doesn't seem to matter at all. And again, I didn't do pit pushing with this. So I don't really care. It is really not, like, don't worry about that change. It's literally irrelevant unless you want to do like very, very high end tier pit pushing. Then you will start feeling like some kind of a difference. But besides that, I don't really feel it affects anything at all. You get a little bit less frozen orbs, and in exchange you get a little bit more lightning spear damage. I feel like it makes the Wand+Focus build stronger though, in comparison to the two-handed weapon, because the entry level of the two-handed weapon is a little bit higher now. Because with less frozen orbs, you're either forced to play Fists of Fate to get enough frozen orbs with Lucky Hit. Or, I mean, you cannot really play Frozen Orb Enchantment with two-handed weapon because your attack speed is gonna be too slow. So I feel like it's affecting the two-handed weapon way more than the Wand+Focus variant. I feel like this variant is not really affected at all by it. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you if it feels... I feel like it feels exactly the same. I kind of have the feeling that I take a little bit longer for the council, but I also didn't have a council yet where they were stacked in a decent manner. So it's really hard to tell because the build is smashing anyway. So it's hard to tell if there's an actual difference. You definitely feel that the conjurations cast less frozen orbs. Like, that is definitely noticeable. You have a little bit less stacks of conjurations overall, I feel like. Maybe 10% less or something like that. So I really don't think it has been nerfed too much. And if there's a nerf, then it's for the two-handed weapon. Yeah, I run Frozen Orb, Enchantment, and Firebolt. Again, Crackling Energy doesn't do any damage. It doesn't matter how much affixes you got on there. It is irrelevant. Are you talking about the Crackling Energy damage hitting for 100 to 200k? I was thinking you were talking about the Nova. So you're talking about the crackling energy damage. That's just irrelevant. It makes no damage at all. No matter how hard you push it. The base damage of it is just 0, and you can multiply it with whatever you want, it will still stay at 0. I was talking about the Nova hit for like 4 million plus. Well, I mean, it depends on your current progression, right? If you compare it to an Amulet, which doesn't give you a lot of damage, then the whatever 20% intelligence on there does decent amount of damage. But if you compare it to, you know, a Winter Glass with +7 Conjuration Mastery on it, or if you compare it with a +6 Devouring Blaze Amulet with attack speed and crit or whatever, then it's just like absolutely horrible. What did the Butcher just drop ever? I don't know, I felt... So, I mean, it was hitting for, like, that amount last season. I don't know what it's hitting for this season. I haven't tested that. But last season it hit for, like, that amount. But even then, it doesn't matter, because, you know, you only get, like, one Nova every, like, 3 or 4 seconds out of that thing. I mean, if you have conjurations, decent amount of conjurations, you should have, like, fairly big multipliers for that amulet. Well, with the amulet, it's pretty easy to see the numbers, right? I mean, you just put the crackling energy next to the dummies, and then you just run through it, and then you will only see the damage of the Nova. You just gotta make sure you have your multipliers on when you run through it. Like, you wanna have your, you know, you wanna have the, you know, you wanna have it burning, and you wanna have your tactician on and all that stuff. You wanna have them vulnerable. But I feel like testing that is pretty easy. You don't need any conjuration ranks at all for that. It's really just about cooldown reduction. Conjuration ranks really just boost your damage. The flame guy. I mean, you definitely get less conjurations here. I mean, I have like 50 now. And it used to be like 60-ish, I would feel like. So it's definitely on the top end, you lose like some. It really depends on your Shaco, like masterwork your Shaco to get like cooldown reduction at least twice. You want to have a Tal Rasha ring or 2 yellow rings with a lot of lightning spear cooldown reduction, or you want to have a Tal Rasha ring with at least 2 crits on the cooldown reduction. You probably want to have a focus with another 2 crits on cooldown reduction. So you want to reach upwards of 55% cooldown reduction to be able to stop casting frozen orbs, basically. See, 6 million? I mean, and I think you can push that up probably to like 8 or maybe even 10 million if you like really try hard. With, you know, if you get like all int optimization, like on every item you get greater FX intelligence and stuff like that. So you can probably like scale it up to like 10. Maybe you can even scale it up to like 12 to 15 million. But still, you're just not gonna get enough of those Novas. It's just too... Crackling energy is just too bad for that. It would be cool if you could get like one of those or Novas every second, or two of those Nova every second. So it feels like a Nova Sorc. Like Nova Sorc in Diablo 2 was like so awesome. I feel like they should just bump it to 50%, man. Just give the Nova 50% chance when picking up Crackling Energy. That would actually be a decent build. I don't even think it would be overpowered. I think it would be I think it would be fair in the meta. And it would give you a reason to sacrifice your regular amulet for that terrible amulet one. But 15% is just too low. 200 million? Nah, that's not true. That guy probably just photoshopped it or whatever. That's never gonna hit for 200 million. Absolutely no way. Maybe with some weird interaction which isn't real. Am I doing Uber carries? I don't know, I'm lazy. I would assume it's somewhat fake or whatever. Like, these rage gaming videos are anyway just clickbait, so don't give too much on them. I still want to play Andariels with Spark or something like that. Like, there's no way that's gonna do 200 million damage, dude. That's gotta be something different. No, it's also, there's no Crackling energy explosion for 200 million. Like, that's, maybe it's like season 4 PTR or season 5 PTR footage or some trash like that. Just don't buy that, please. This is never gonna be real. So you're telling me there's a video where a guy is hitting with like the Nova from that stupid Asadoras for 200 million in a real scenario? No, there's no way, dude. That's not true. One second. I have a feeling that's PDR footage. It looks like it, honestly. I don't know. It looks strange. But anyway, like pushing 3.5k in would instantly kill you whenever you get hit by anything. But Second. Honestly, first of all, I think that's gonna be lightning spear damage numbers. I don't think it's crackling energy or nova damage numbers. I don't know, it's hard to tell. So the big numbers he has there is definitely not from the nova. Decent didn't look to me like that. I would have to watch it frame by frame, but I usually don't play with damage numbers. But my assumption is it's mainly lightning spear damage. The nerf is really not affecting this build at all. Like, I feel like there's like a slight damage reduction when playing the bosses. But nothing really significant, honestly. No, 100 pit is joke. You don't even need to talk about that. 100 pit takes like 1 minute. The boss dies like in 5 seconds. I mean, I don't even know how long it takes, but it's extremely fast. No, I play 1 temper lightning spear and 1 temper frozen orb. I play 50-50. Yeah, I mean, again, these videos are just clickbait, right? So, I mean, sure you can push 3.6k intelligence, and, you know, sure it's gonna work, but, you know, you're gonna be one-shot by everything, basically. So, I mean, 200 million is it's not that much. You have to think about the price for it. Right? You basically sacrifice everything to make this 200 million hit. Like, you might as well just make, you know, 100 hits for 2 million in the same time. I mean, even if you could scale it properly, I mean, it definitely, it scales exponentially, right? If the more intelligence you get, basically, because it's the base damage increased of that Nova, right? It obviously gets a pretty high base damage at 3.6k intelligence, but it's not gonna be a playable build. And it's gonna be much... I mean, it does much less damage than the regular Lightning Spear build, right? I mean, I just watched this video for a Pit Tier 101 boss. He needed like 15 seconds or so. Like, that's much longer you would need with this build. And also, you know, most likely this guy plays Godslayer Crown and stuff like that, or maybe Lucion, so he basically throws up on like all crazy multipliers, which are extremely conditional and not really working in a real scenario. And to then reach this number just to be able to make a video, but it's definitely not going to be a playable build, I can tell you that already. How's that possible? Well, if you're just bad. Maybe it just got carried or whatever. Might have been like, was it a tier 8? I don't even know. Like, honestly. It's... I don't watch these videos. They are all clickbait. Sorry to say, but that's the story there. It's because he will never show you a full run. He will just show you like some random footage he shot. Make like a 1 in a million hit or whatever. So... But again, that's what I'm saying is this amulet would be cool if you could manage Crackling energy spawn and you could shoot like one of those novas a second. But if you have to run in circles around the boss, pick up Crackling energy, and eventually hope for every, you know, couple of seconds for like a nova to come out, that's, first of all, it's not going to be fun playing that build. Second of all, it's going to be very RNG heavy, and also it's just going to be not very strong. No, I have different planners. This is the lucky hit version planner that has 2 different tempers. Yeah, correct. Only the Fists of Fate version has Lightning Spear tempers. Because the other versions are Frozen Orb casting tempers, right? So they are more like... You're more like focus getting a good amount of Lightning Spears out of Frozen Orb casts. And same with the Uber version. So I don't focus on Lightning Spear there because, you know, these builds are basically made when you don't have the cooldown reduction to feed like perma Lightning Spear cast. And that's why they don't have Lightning Spear tempers on it. But Frozen Orb tempers, because the Frozen Orbs in the end gonna give you more cooldown reduction and more Lightning Spear cast then. So there's basically really a breakpoint when you can stop casting Frozen Orb, and then, you know, it kind of makes more sense. Maybe now with the change, also the second Frozen Orb temper is not as good as the Lightning Spear temper. I would have to check that. No. So with the Axel Conduit, you cannot spam Chain Lightnings. You're gonna run out of mana if you spam. That item basically gives you like a maximum amount of Chain Lightnings you can have active. And depending on your mana pool, it's probably gonna be like 5 to 10. So you really cannot spam them. So that item more like aims to don't push attack speed very high. And try to have like a manageable amount of Chain Lightnings out. But again, if you play that with Lightning Spear aspect, you might as well just play something for Lightning Spear, right? So why use something like Chain Lightning to spawn Lightning Spears? It's just a bad spell for that. So if you want to really spawn Lightning Spears a different way than with the Winter Glass, then you would probably opt for like basic skills, Unstable Currents. So you would go Spark, Overwhelming Currents, Unstable Currents, which will net you like around probably 20 Lightning Spears active at a time. But it's still going to be significantly weaker than this version. Yeah, so I cannot tell you when it's time to switch. You just gotta play. I mean, you just gotta test, right? When you feel like you don't need to cast Frozen Orbs anymore, you can basically do that. But again, you need a lot of cooldown reduction and you need a decent winter glass. And there's no really like a fixed breakpoint. You definitely need like upwards of like 55% cooldown reduction. I mean, I have 57% cooldown reduction and I have 1 lightning spear cooldown reduction tempo on my ring, so I'm probably like at 65 or something like that for the lightning spear. So you really need a high cooldown reduction to get this working. That's the most important. And you need the 0.3 reduction on your winter glass, and you also want to masterwork that reduction. Otherwise it's not gonna work. But I don't really feel this build being nerfed, honestly. You get less lightning spears, but they do more damage. I feel like that's a fair trade, honestly. Yeah, then you're very, very far away. If you have to cast 3 orbs before a spare, like a spear, you're like very, very far away still. So the most important is the cooldown reduction when a frozen orb explodes. That's the most important step. And the next important stat is going to be the lucky hit chance, and the least important stat is the ranks in Conjuration Mastery. That is just gonna give you raw damage, but it's not gonna make your build function. The 2 other stats are gonna require to make your build function. The Conjuration Mastery is just increasing your damage a little bit. Lightning Spear cooldown, you should be... So this is Invigoration, right? This is 5, but this is 6.2 seconds or something like that. If you invigorate it, like that buff is extremely strong. But you should be around like 6.5 seconds. That's a good number for Lightning Spear cooldown, really. No, the 0.8 seconds is pretty good. How do you have 5.2 seconds? That's actually nuts. Not sure how you got that. You play like 2 rare rings with Lightning Spear cooldown reduction temper? No, Shaco's not gonna bring you there. Yeah, 2 legendary rings, okay. That's, yeah, the legendary rings, they can give you like a lot of cooldown reduction actually. Yeah, I mean, Conjuration Mastery is... So if you're self-casting, Conjuration Mastery will probably be even the better stat. But if you want to sustain permanent lightning spear cooldown, you need the cooldown reduction. The most important there. $700. It takes so long. But yeah, I will make different builds on the weekend. I wanted to make Chain Lightning build already. I wanted to have it running already. Fortunately, it was not possible because of trading being disabled. But maybe I give the Isadora's Amulet a try when I do it. Because I think it would work alright with Chain Lightning. Because you could probably generate the most amount of Crackling energy. Still, I don't think it's gonna be good. I think I'm just gonna overperform on Crackling energy, because if I go for maximum cooldown, like for maximum resource, and then I can try to have like 10 to 12 lightning, 10 to 12 chain lightnings up or something like that. It totally doesn't matter where you have these aspects. You can put them on wherever you want, honestly. It doesn't make any difference.
You can take what's left.
Yeah, I mean, and Daryl's is no, the spear, whatever, you don't use that item. That's just junk. So the way you would get more lightning spears would be just maxing out resource. So you would do the following, right? So you would max resource everywhere. So I already have these pens, right? You no, there's not this one. Where are they? This one here. So you want to triple crit resource generation at maximum, or double crit it, right? That is the most important stat you want to hit there. So it's gonna go to like somewhere around, what is it gonna go? Like, let's just say it goes to 80%, right? Then you want to get maximum resource from your Paragon. And you want to get maximum resource on items. And then you want to get lucky hit to gain resource. Because lucky hit to gain resource is gonna I bought this for 500 million, they're dirt cheap. Like, nobody wants these pens. So then you get lucky hit to restore resource, 5%. And this is gonna scale with your resource generation. So one lucky hit will essentially fill your entire mana pool. And then you kind of get well, you don't get infinite mana, but you get an absurd amount of mana regeneration, and then you can sustain a good amount of chain lightnings. That was my plan there. Yeah, but the spear is garbage. Like, it doesn't matter what it increases. It's just a tool and a weapon without any stats, right? So it's just gonna make you significantly weaker. And you can use a regular weapon with resource generation on, which is way stronger than that one. Well, I haven't figured it out yet, but you would have to you would get resource generation on your items, and you could get greater affix on maximum resource on probably like some items. You could get it on you could get it on your focus, I believe, and I guess you can get it on rings. So I don't even know where you can get it on. You can also get it on Amulet, technically, if you want to play an Amulet. And then you get a good amount of mana from Paragon board, and then you play the resource elixir on top of it, which gives you another flat, what is it, like 20 or so. So I think you can get like somewhere around 400 to 500 maximum resource without sacrificing too much. And then, you know, if every chain lightning, like at 10 chain lightnings, every chain lightning will drain, what is it, 66? Right? Every chain lightning drains 6 mana per active chain lightning, correct? So 11 chain lightnings would drain 66 whenever they return, yeah. So let's say you have 20 chain lightnings out, right? Then it would make it 120 mana. And if you count that Lucky Hit can regenerate your entire resource pool, in between those, you would again regenerate mana again. So unless they would all basically come back in an unlucky moment exactly at the same time, you could probably sustain a relatively high amount of chain lightnings. I don't know how many it will be. Again, I want to test it out, how much resource you can get. And how much resource generation you basically need to get. But I mean, with Conjuration Mastery, you get a decent amount of resource generation. So, and with the Lucky Hit rolls, I don't even know if you want to play recharging aspect with that, honestly. I'm not entirely sure if that's good, if it's going to be worth the slot. I think it's more like you want to play Fists of Fate and you want to try to focus on Lucky Hit mana regeneration. Like if you... I need to make the math on it. How much Lucky Hit does a Chain Lightning have? And, you know, what's the potential if using Lucky Hit mana to sustain? Because the problem with resource generation is, so you would not want to cast Chain Lightnings manually in that build, right? So in that build, you would want to use a basic skill and Unstable Currents to spawn the Chain Lightnings. You wouldn't want to cast the Chain Lightnings, most likely yourself. You would just want to spawn them. And then it depends how much you can get out of Unstable Currents. Really has to be tried out. You could probably even... I mean, you could probably play it with Winterglass and try to get Lightning Spear Conjuration cooldown reduction somehow. But I don't know if it's gonna be good. Yeah, I mean, Teleport has a high Lucky Hit chance, yes. But it just has too much cooldown. So, I mean, Teleport is cool if you want to do some Lucky Hit stuff. But you really can only teleport like once every 2 seconds or so. So you really don't want to rely on that. Like even... And if you play Teleport Enchantment, you just way reliant on like different boots which are not Asus and stuff like that. So I don't feel like Teleport is a good spell to do that. I guess Chain Lightning has a huge potential there to be... If you really want to go into the Crackling energy route, Chain Lightning is going to be the best Crackling energy generator by far. Like, Chain Lightning generates 5 times more Crackling energy than anything could do. And the Lucky Hit with the Static Discharge... I don't know what it is. That in utility temper on your armor pieces for the Static Discharge? Or is that an... Or is that like a resource temper for the rings? I think it's a resource temper, right? Like, Static Discharge. Right? If you could bump that. Is it? I think that is... Elemental Control? Nope. Elementals... What is that? Shock Finesse? Nope. Shock Motion? No. Somewhere here. There it is. No, that's Invigorating Conduit. Wasn't there Static Discharge on something here? I hate that you cannot search in here. I swear there was a Static Discharge temper. Maybe it's not existing anymore. Oh, there it is. No, Crippling Flames, Conversions. Doesn't that exist anymore? I could swear there was a static discharge temper. But apparently there's none. It's gotta be resource or utility. So it was either resource. So it's definitely not resource. It can't be utility. That thing is never gonna be on an armor piece. Okay, so maybe I was wrong. That's unfortunate though. So then you cannot make a Crackling energy generator. I don't have the best attack speed. I have 87.7 with unstable currents right now. Why do I have 87.7 though? I have more. Do I have 87.7? Yeah. So I guess there's some breakpoint around there. I think it's 86.9 or something like that. I mean, I could probably get some more attack speed from Paragon, but I don't think I can get enough. I think I calculated that already. Would have to redo the Fists of Fate. Yeah, I mean, I could play another Legendary Ring, honestly. It might actually be stronger than the Tarasha Ring. I'm not entirely sure, though. I mean, it's probably gonna be better. I'm just gonna make one to just check. I have like a bunch of rings I can use for this. It would allow me to get 2 additional crit damage tempers, actually, if I would change away from Tarasha. I mean, it costs you 5% max rest, basically, which is... I don't think it's a huge deal. And it removes some cooldown reduction on unstable currents and shit. I don't think it even matters how good your Tarasha is, because you know what? It's gonna be... I mean, mine is gonna be... minus 52% is my Tarasha, right? And even if it's gonna be full 60%, I think a crit damage temper will make up for that already. And attack speed also. So I think it just might be better, honestly, to play this with two legendary rings. While Russia with 3 stacks is really not that amazing. Right? Because the stats on the ring are pretty dogshit, other than the cooldown reduction. And if you really want to just push for Lightning Spear, the Lightning Spear cooldown reduction temper is way better than the cooldown reduction you get on Tarasha, right? So you basically just need, with 1 temper on a Lightning Spear cooldown reduction, with 1 Masterwork on a Lightning Spear cooldown reduction temper, you basically get more than with 3 crits on a Tarasha. Are this Elite's unstoppable? I probably shouldn't pick this. It's getting a little bit out of control here. Which aspect? You would probably use like Shredding Blades. I don't think you would want to use another attack speed one. Another fix? What do they get for next next patch? No. You use Storm Swell. You basically use 1 damage aspect. And some people say Storm Swell is double dipping. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no clue. I don't know how it would be crappy for endgame. I mean, it's 15 pit tiers above any other build, or is it 20 pit tiers above any other build at this point? So I don't know how it would be crappy for endgame, but, you know. That is already out, the fix. So just the tooltip is not rolled out. The tooltip is gonna be rolled out with the patch, but it is in hotfix and it is already active. Oh. Yeah, the spear is shit for... I mean, yeah, it's... So, why is it good for leveling? Because you can wear it at level 35, right? That's the only good thing about the spear. But I mean, I leveled this sword in like... I was level 80 after 2 hours or something like that, and then I did nightmare dungeons for, I would say, 1 hour and a half with level 80 gear, and then I did like 3 or 4 Infernal Lords tier 7 to level 100, so that whole process took like 4 hours, I believe, completely solo without any carrying. So Uber Uniques are pretty decent to speed level your character. I mean, I was running Doombringer for leveling. So, just because of the level 35. I guess technically the spear is much better because you get pretty much double the damage, right? Doombringer's just 1 weapon slot and there's no uber unique focus. So the spear would just be way better for leveling, but I salvaged it to like craft something else. No, but it was never great. It's basically just a good leveling item. Conduits are not that bad, I feel like. You can teleport pretty far with them. I don't really dislike conduits while leveling. I feel like they're decent. You have a very low cooldown on the teleport of that. So I don't think it's the worst thing which can happen, honestly. Like the movement speed now. You remember the conduits were so bad because you had no movement speed, but now they give you like the 100% movement speed buff every other shrine gives you. So I feel like conduit shrines are not that bad anymore. They used to be the absolute dog shit, but you know, I feel like they are alright at this stage. If you don't, yeah, but you want to use Fist of Fate if you use two legendary rings, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, if you would use a third aspect, I mean, you only have like Conceded left. Or, I mean, you could go for an attack speed aspect, but it's really not going to be good. You don't really need that attack speed. You cannot cap out a Lightning Spear at such a high attack speed. That's why I also not sure if it's even going to be beneficial to get another attack speed roll on a legendary ring, because I feel like I'm not capped by attack speed with my lightning spears at this point. I feel like I'm capped by cooldown reduction. It's just my thinking. I mean, I'm not sure. I would have to try out with a different ring though. I mean, I tried with 2 legendary rings at the very beginning. I might still have one in my stash though. I have to check. But I haven't tried it with the good Fists of Fate though. How many times can I redo your masterworking? You can redo so many times until you're really like out of resources. And that's gonna happen very fast. So currently you are limited by the white resources for re-rolling your masterwork, basically. At the beginning you might have enough of the white resources, but you know, in the end that's gonna be your bottleneck. These really take a long time if they're not stacked. So even though they said the lightning spears are gonna do more damage, but less arcing, I don't know, I feel like there's something more to this story, because I feel like the single target damage is significantly lower. And based on the blue post, the single target damage should be higher. But I really don't see that. Maybe this arcing story is also reduced in a single target scenario, probably. What does it say anyway? So I feel like what they did is... they changed this to critical hits with Lightning Spear have a 50% chance or something like that. So the tooltip is not updated yet, but I feel like they just gave this a chance. It was 100%. And I feel like now it's probably like 50% or something like that. Straight up cutting that damage in half. And then they boosted the Lightning Spear damage, so the damage by, I don't know, like 30%. So, I mean, it's still a nerf. And we will see when the tooltip comes out, but I'm pretty sure the tooltip is gonna say there's a certain chance for your Lightning Spear to arc. And not 100%. No, I don't think it's an internal cooldown. I think it's just gonna be a chance. They don't really work with internal cooldowns, I feel like. Then I don't feel like it's a strong nerf, honestly. The build is still massively overperforming. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the aspect is just too strong. I feel like it should be split into two aspects and then made a little bit stronger. For my feeling, the entry level to the Lightning Spear is just too low. Just putting like that much power on a single aspect. Like, the aspect is basically stronger than all other aspects you can put on your gear combined, and that is just too much power level for one single aspect, I feel like. Wait, let me see if I have another ring. Should actually put more than 3. I should actually leave 10 items on the ground. No, it's definitely noticeable. It has nothing to do with 50. So you absolutely notice it. You notice there's a significantly less damage. And you also get, I would say you get roughly like 10% less lightning spears. You also feel like the conjurations are throwing significantly less frozen orbs. So I feel it is definitely a noticeable difference. In the AoE scenario, it doesn't really matter because you get more damage from the lightning spear, which compensates for it. But in the boss fight scenario, it's definitely something you notice. I mean, I notice it. Like, it's absolutely there. Okay, do I have any good ring I could use for this? Do I even want attack speed? I probably don't even want attack speed. I would probably want to use one of these. But I don't even want to brick it. I want to start a new build. I don't want to brick good rings now. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I don't have any good ring. This one probably. Look at this one. This is probably gonna be a little bit expensive. Oh, this is account bound. I remember. I don't even know where I have this from, but it's account bound for whatever reason. um. Really, the changes are very irrelevant. Don't freak out on these changes. It is really not so relevant. This one here I was looking for. I knew I had one. So this one is the other one I have here. With lightning spear cooldown, attack speed, and crit chance. I mean, I wouldn't need the crit chance, honestly, because I'm already capped on crit chance. So I would change that to crit damage. Let's just see how this feels with the other ring. If I really notice, like, the difference in attack speed. Wait, does it already have crit damage? No. Can you give it already? Body, isn't that min roll? It's alright, I don't care. Alright. So by switching these two, I'm gonna lose basically a little bit of damage. This is Storm Swirl, so we have to change this to Shredding Blades. I'm gonna try two things now. I'm gonna try one with Shredding Blade, and I'm gonna try it with attack speed. So if I put this on, I'm going to... what is my attack speed? So I have 82 point... So I'm at 107 point... Wait, let me just pull up the attack speed breakpoints real quick. Actually, I don't care about attack speed breakpoints because I don't know them anyway. So let's just try what happens with this. That is, guys, is you cannot play in late game because you're not using resource. Blue? What is a blue damage number? Overpower? Is that blue? Isn't that like orange? Crit is yellow, overpower is orange, right? And then there's crit overpower. I don't even know what color that is. But I don't know what's blue. There's blue damage numbers? Blue is overpower, orange is crit overpower, because I never see non-critical hits. So let's see if I get more conjurations with more attack speed now. Because I have 2 extra attack speed breakpoints now, technically. I mean, I don't know the attack speed breakpoints for Lightning Spear. Nobody will ever figure that out, probably. Because it's just not possible to test. because the cooldown reduction is just too RNG for ever testing the breakpoints for this. So you basically just have to rely on a feeling, do I get more lightning spears this way or not? That is pretty much the story. Wow. Should have not done that. If you look at your skill bar all the time and don't watch it like the guys hitting you with that whatever sword axe thing that is, then, you know, that happens. So wait, so mine is at 6.6 seconds now. That is not even better than before, right? This at 19.6 and this just has 17. So I have actually a little bit less cooldown with this. If you're actively using your move button, you won't autocast. There's some setting, I believe, in the game. I don't know how it's called. Important is you want to unbind click to move, right? So you want to unbind your... So there's a setting where you can separate click to move and your primary skill. You have to check that. So you basically... If you see my skill tree, right, I don't have a mouse 1 here. So I have click to move on mouse 1, that is important. So you don't want to have a skill cast on mouse 1. That is gonna destroy everything you're doing. And I think there's a setting which has something to do with holding a button. But that should be enabled by default, I thought, actually. So you have, if you go to controls, right, you have either this combine move interact basic skill slot. You want to deactivate that, right? And then there is some other setting. I don't even know where that is. Gameplay. I feel like there's a setting which is controls, accessibility maybe. Second. Yeah, hold skill toggle behavior. Skill toggle behavior, hold all. You want to put this to hold all. I think that is the setting there. Not 100% sure about this one though. But you definitely want to do the click to move, because whenever you cast a skill, you're gonna interrupt that. Yeah, skill toggle. But that is in that setting by default. That's why I'm wondering, because I never changed that setting. It has always been like this. But I saw somebody, like, I saw some video. I believe it was from Woody or from Rob, where he said that setting is impacting that. And I was like, I never changed the setting, so it must be the default setting. So far, I don't really feel a difference, but you will see it at the bosses. So I should get more conjuration count on the boss, basically, if the ring actually does something. I don't think there's a huge difference in damage. Honestly, I think if you have a very good ring with critical strike damage, greater affix, and hitting the proper tempers, it's probably going to be better than Tar Rusher. I don't know. So you want to install World of Warcraft, and you want to go to Goldshire to the tavern on an RP server. So you want to go role-playing server, right? You go to Goldshire to the tavern, And then you don't want to ask for like hot sword checks because they're gonna ban you. So you want to do it like in an RPG way, right? So you want to be like, is there like any Hordes sorceress mage interested in you know, exploring the way of whatever? So maybe that's what you want to do. If you're into that. That was before Tinder, right? That was like, that was the first online dating, was Goldshire Tavern in World of Warcraft. I'm not even joking. That was before money-soaking companies made apps for like nerds like us, right? You had to use World of Warcraft to chat with the chicks. It probably was. And probably the expectations were not so high, man. Exactly. But it all started with Goldshire, man. It all started with Goldshire. The good thing is my parents at that time wouldn't have understood what the whole Goldshire story was all about anyway, so that wouldn't have been a problem. But if I would be like, oh yeah, I'm meeting a girl which I met in an online video game, they would be like, what is an online video game? I mean, I don't really feel a huge difference between these two rings. We will see at the boss, though. I mean, it's not the best ring there anyway. And I think the attack speed is, like, wasted. I think you don't need such a high attack speed for this. I think you will be fine with, like, somewhere around 60% to cap out on lightning spears already. It's really hard to test. Because you can test at the dummies, but the problem is with the dummies, it's not like a representative thing, because you use the overflowing energy, right? And overflowing energy with 5 elites, which are living all the time, is not really the reality. The reality is more like you have 1 to 2. And so it's very hard to test that against the dummies. Damn, I have Invigorate. How am I gonna test this? I can let the Invigorate expire, right? Yeah. I'm gonna do that. But I mean, overall, I feel like it's pretty much the same with the ring. Also, like, the damage output should be pretty equal. Just like just measuring the extra crit damage against the higher multiplier probably comes out to like roughly the same. I mean, now I have basically you know, I have 100, yeah, good 200% more crit damage, right? So that's like a 25% increase. And I'm losing like a 25% on the multiplier compared to the Tal Rasha. So it's fairly even, I would say. No, Tyrell's Might is not a must at all. It helps in tier 8 from the random one-shots through elemental damage. In tier 7 you don't need it at all. You can just use like any pants with like a defensive... any chest with a defensive aspect. In tier 8 it helps because of the max resistance. But honestly it's not... So if you have Tal Ring, you get plus... I don't even know, plus... What? How much is it? Plus 6 max resistance or something like that? I don't even... What the new... what is that ability even called? Elemental something. Potent Warding, right? I think Potent Warding does 2% per element. Well, you don't cast poison, so Potent Warding doesn't give you max poison res, basically, and no max shadow res. But I don't think anything here does really poison or shadow damage. It's all like fire, mainly, and lightning. I mean, there's some poison damage, but that's not usually what's gonna kill you here. And I feel like Potent Warding gives you... Yeah, 2% max res, so if you have a Tarasha ring, you get 8% max res out of these. So you would be at like at 78. I mean, you could even put some points into that, I guess. So, really, don't sweat like Tyrell's Might. Like, the damage of it doesn't matter all that much. And, I mean, it has nice damage reduction, obviously. But it's also, if you just have a double roll damage reduction, you know, it's gonna be, what, 8% less than an aspect. So it's really not that strong. And, you know, if you play regular pants, regular chest piece, you basically get a life, which you don't get on Tyrell's. So I really don't think it's like an absolute must. Absolutely not. I mean, I played tier 8s with 8 out of 12 gear without any uber uniques just fine, no problem. I use Wand+Focus because it's more fluent gameplay. And it has way less of an entry level than two-handed weapon. And I don't need the overkill damage of the two-handed. What was I gonna look? I wanted to check something. Tyrell's Might. Right, so you really trade a bunch of max life and int for 10% damage reduction and the Ores. So potentially, if you don't want the Ores, right, you could put, if you play Tarasha Ring, you could put another 4 stacks, another 3 points into Potent Warding. It's really not a big deal to get Potent Warding, right? You have like a lot of skill points you can redistribute here, which you don't really need so much. You could, for example, remove Crackling Energy and, you know, change Charge Glyph to, for example, I might even do this. You could change this to Exploit Glyph or Flame Feeder Glyph, depending on which one you play. You could remove Static Discharge, put these 3 points into Potent Warding, and you will also have 85% max res without Tyrell's Might, so it's absolutely not a requirement at all. The Flame Waves? I don't even know. I sometimes get one shot during the council, but I don't even know what it is. Like, raw damage reduction probably also doesn't work against elemental damage. I mean, I don't even know if it does or not, but it feels like it doesn't. Yeah, but the 10% lucky chance on the focus is not so relevant, honestly. It's really just about the attack speed and the extra cooldown reduction from focus, which is making it way easier to reach the break point where you don't have to cast frozen orbs anymore. You really need a very, very high cooldown reduction to be able to use two-handed stuff. And it still plays much slower in Infernal Hordes. So, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, it's for pit pushing, mainly if you have crazy gear. if you don't have crazy gear, the Wand+Focus variant plays better. Wait, I wanna... I'm gonna let this run out. Why does it say increased attack speed? It increases so much else. Why doesn't it move, though? I think this doesn't... Oh, it does run out, but very slowly. So it also decreases cooldowns. It just says increased attack speed in the tooltip, but it decreases cooldowns and probably even gives you more damage. Lightning Spear is always priority cast before Orb. I have 56% cooldown or so. I mean, now I don't have it because I have Tal-Rasha Ring off, but if I put Tal-Rasha Ring back on... Okay, you have to wait for the Invigorate to get removed, basically. Invigorate gives you max cooldown reduction. It's gone very soon. Yeah. So I think I have 57 or something like that. Which is... Yeah, I have 57 cooldown, and there's an extra 17% Lightning Spear cooldown, basically, I have. So I have a 6.33 second Lightning Spear, and if I switch to this, it's a 6.6. So that value, like, around, it works just fine. Even if it's a little bit lower, it works fine. Nice, and now I get 3 guys which stack. Honestly, this damage feels lower. I don't feel like I get more conjurations up. I'm like in the 40 range here. So I don't think I'm gaining anything off the attack speed. So this is definitely much lower, right? I was reaching like 50 plus in these battles. I mean, this gives extra lucky hit chance, right? And this basically... I don't know. I mean... this one is the right one, right? So honestly, I think it's roughly the same. I really don't feel a difference. This was quicker because they were stacked. That was really the reason there. But I mean, also that ring is like not very well tempered, right? So could definitely get a better one there. The buff is Invigorate. That's from the... So there's one of those boons where it says when you slay an Hellborn, it invigorates you. And it basically gives you max cooldown reduction, max attack speed, and... I don't even know if it gives damage or not, honestly. But it's a very, very powerful buff. But since... I mean, I had more attack speed, but I didn't feel like I got more... conjuration stacks, so I don't think I'm limited by the attack speed at this point. I'm limited by cooldown reduction. That's why I feel like I was even better with the Tal-Rasha ring, because it has lucky hit on it. But it's really hard to tell. I'm just gonna do another one. This item is so stupid. God damn it. this.
Father bless. What do you need?
Alright, this I'm doing one more. This out of compasses. They dropped regular items, so yes, they do, absolutely. It's just like extra gear. Like you can get a 3 greater FX item out there, no problem. And I always like fill my inventory, and I want to fill my stash as well, because I want to basically salvage the white materials. So if you now do a new Infernal Hordes, they go into your stash, the last 10 you left on the ground, right? So you basically take a full inventory plus the stash out of it and just salvage it into materials. Because that's the most efficient way, because you don't want to like stand in there, keep filling your stash. That's just gonna take forever. But just filling your inventory once, I feel like it's very efficient actually to get your materials. Because you're gonna run out of white materials at some point. And by doing this, I really get a considerable amount of extra white materials. Yes, you definitely need a Shaco to make this build. Not possible without. A high cooldown reduction? 55% upwards, I would say. My Shaco's nothing special, I just have two master working on cooldown reduction, so it has 39% cooldown reduction. You really don't need anything crazy for this gear. All you need to do is you need to double hit master working on cooldown reduction on your Shaco and your Tarasha ring. If you don't want to play Tarasha ring, you only need hit 1 on Lightning Spear, but it's probably going to be better to hit double on Lightning Spear cooldown. I mean, I don't wanna waste materials into that, but you can probably, if you want to use 2 legendary rings and crit Lightning Spear cooldown 2 times on both, you're probably gonna end up with like less than 5 seconds Lightning Spear cooldown, which is gonna give you way more conjurations than this, which is probably gonna be better than playing the Tarasha ring. But I really don't want to do it at this point. You don't need triple cooldown reduction, really. You don't need it. So you either need this, or you need like this with greater FX, double cooldown reduction is nice if you want to play Tarasha. And else you just use Lightning Spear cooldown. Really, you only need to crit this once. I mean, I think it's better to crit it twice, honestly. But as you can see, it works without just fine. You really don't need any crazy gear. I don't even have greater FX on my focus. I just have a max roll cooldown reduction here with 1 masterworking crit. So I could optimize this way further to get probably like another 10 conjurations active at a time, maybe even 15. But I really don't care at this point, because I can clear the content I want. And I keep the gear shitty so I can, you know, I can prove that you don't really need the crazy gear to make this run. Yeah, I mean, if you're lucky and triple crit the Shaco cooldown reduction, you know, nothing wrong with that, right? I'm just not gonna redo it. I'm fine with the one I have. No, you don't. You keep the cooldown on your Winter Glass. The cooldown on the Winter Glass is the most important. I don't compare this version to Mikuna's because I don't have the gear to compare. But if you want to get the Mikuna version gear, it's gonna do more damage if you want to go pit pushing. In Infernal Hordes, it's probably roughly the same speed, honestly, with requiring 200 more hours of your life to farm the gear. So, really, this has a much lower entry level. Much, much lower. What crackling energy change? There's a crackling energy change? I don't think though, is there? Didn't they just buff like this crackling energy node on the Paragon, which nobody ever takes? It's not even a crackling energy build. It's just like a... I get like 4k in, be the ultimate glass cannon, and I can make a show off because I made a stupid build which is not gonna function in reality. Build that build. There's a bug fix in related to... When did that info come out? I read the bug fixes this morning and there was nothing in with crackling energy. So you tell me they hotfix crackling energy? Like in this current patch? Why would Summoned Lightning Spear consume stacks of crackling energy? And granted... Ah, okay, well nobody cares about that shit. I mean, Summoned Lightning Spear is irrelevant. Nobody's gonna use that. I mean, you can use it, but it literally makes no difference. Like, if you play this build, you're gonna pick up so little crackling energy, and also it doesn't matter at all. Like, increasing the damage of Lightning Spear is irrelevant, because Lightning Spear is not what's doing the damage. So, even if they fix something with Summoned Lightning Spear, that ability is literally useless, and it will be useless. Like, nobody cares if your Lightning Spear does 200% extra damage, because 0 times 200 is still gonna be 0. Right? You're talking about this ability here, basically. Summoned Lightning Spear. And that is just... It's just junk. It has no effect whatsoever. Right? This literally does nothing. Lightning Spear does no damage. It's not going to increase the splintering energy damage. Really? I'm gonna check those patch notes after this. Now I'm curious. I don't know, how would you even notice a bug in Summoned Lightning Spear? Like, literally nobody's using that ability. Like, why would... I don't understand. How do you even find a bug like that? Like, again, that ability, it should read like 2000%. If it would do 2000% extra damage, then it would be worth using. No, it's not gonna do anything. It's literally not changing anything. That is completely irrelevant. Also have nothing to do with crackling energy. The ability is just if you pick up crackling energy, it's gonna buff the damage of your next lightning spear. That is pretty much it. And they said it wasn't working, so it's irrelevant. Buffing the non-Hellborn choices seems to be okay. They should just remove those goddamn Soul Spires, man. Just remove the Soul Spires altogether and, you know, add the Ether Fiend buffs, maybe. You know, just give me, like, extra Ether Fiend spawns, like extra Hellborn spawns or something like that. That would probably be alright. Or just remove all these stupid ones which nobody cares about. That would also be cool. You think they buffed through it? I don't know, I'm gonna check it after this. I hope they don't nerf Hordes. Well, by now I have like 30k in Nice Iron. That's hopefully gonna carry me to the end of the season. Focus wand buff? There's no focus wand buff. I don't know what that means. Oh, you mean... Well... So... You get more lightning spear damage, basically, and... Your damage of frozen orbs is proportionally growing, while the build which is solely relying on lightning spear, which is the 2-init variant, is basically getting slightly nerfed. So that basically means that the wand and focus version actually receives a buff. Also, the cooldown reduction gets nerfed slightly, right? And that affects the 2-init version way more than the wand and focus version. So I think overall it's a buff to this build. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they shadow nerf Hellborns. They keep shadow nerfing stuff all the time outside of the patch notes. I also feel like they already did, but I cannot confirm it. But I literally never had a run above 1000 in like forever, and before I had like runs in the 1000 range all the time, and I had like 2 runs above like 1200 and stuff like that. And I got like a very good run today with like lots of Hellborns, and I ended up at like 800. So I kind of feel like I don't know, but that was like last week, or middle of this week. I felt like the hordes were slightly nerfed, but you know, I cannot really confirm. It might just be RNG. It's just like a feeling I have there. I mean, I run without casting Frozen Orb all the time, right? These builds all generally still function. Just like a very slight nerf. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it might just be RNG. But, you know, I will never find out. But I feel like I have a lot of runs like just ending in the, you know, 400 to 500s. Which usually used to be like 6 to 700s. Like even if I have Hellborn, I still like get relatively low values. So it's just my feeling that they shadow nerf this a little bit. I mean, I haven't seen anybody else just getting like a crazy run ever since then. I mean, I had one good run today with like 800. And now I again have like a 341. But this was not a good run though, this was horrible, but still feels like maybe it's nerfed. Yeah, I mean, the highest one I had was like 1280. So in this scenario, right, I get like 45 conjurations. And I used to get upwards of 55. And I mean, this is pretty static, right? You really just stand there and you have like a fixed cooldown reduction when hitting these bosses. So I guess this is pretty much comparable. And that is because the Lucky Hit Frozen Orb just gives you less cooldown now. So that nerf is definitely there. And you feel this. For me, it's like roughly like 15% less conjurations or something like that. But you also feel like a slight single target damage increase, I feel like, at least in this scenario, to compensate. So it's not that bad, but you definitely see it in the number of conjurations. So they nerfed the lucky hit chance to spawn frozen orbs. So they reduced that on the winter glass a little bit, and they also nerfed the, you know, percentage, I feel like, how often the lightning spear does the arc effect. But I don't know, maybe that's in the patch notes. We'll check this. See, so I always do like, leave like 10 items on the ground, right? So I will get these 10 items later with the, you know, missed equipment, whatever thing. And this way I can basically efficiently pull out items without having to stash and unstash them, because stashing and unstashing just takes like forever. This is like the most efficient way to get like the white materials. Okay. Let's check this. Patch notes. Alright, yeah, so there they are. Pull these. So what do we have? Gold chest is now reusable? That doesn't make any sense. You just use it once. Oh, you can now... Ah, I guess I know what it means. Eternal offerings have been updated to increase their rewards. Exalt Elite 1 to 2. Surging Elite 1 to 2. Unstoppable Elite 1 to 2. Burning Rain. Oh, from 3 to 9. Okay, that's decent actually. Like, I don't have any complaints about this. I don't care about that. Cache of legendary items to make the issue with patch. Wow, so so there was an issue with Infernal Hordes where you were not getting guaranteed legendary items, and now they give every player a cache with guaranteed great item affixes. They should put their development work in more important stuff, really. Alchemist Control, I don't even know what that is. User interface, I don't care. Hellborn did not spawn as frequently as intended when the Hellfire Infernal Offering was active. Oh, that was actually like... I think like Rob was suspecting that you don't want to use the Hellfire one because it feels like you spawn less Hellborn then. I don't even know this. Well, I took that all the time and I feel like it doesn't matter. Treasure Goblin spawns during Infernal Hordes? I never had that. Western Dungeons? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Hey, I had this when I was doing a Nightmare Dungeon. Okay. I don't care. Yeah. Higher ranks of Fireball did not have the Bloom Flame effect. Oh my god, that's bad. Yeah, Baneful Arts could be lost. Who cares? Fixed an issue where a small number of affixes couldn't roll as greater affixes, such as Blood Orbs, Restore Essence. Okay, Necro stuff. How long have I been streaming? Like 2 hours, 35 minutes. Okay. This is all useless, right? Nobody cares about this. Fix an issue where certain affixes were not affected by masterworking for the following unique: Oculus, Blue Rose, Storm's Companion. Okay. Okay, I don't see anything in this patch notes, honestly. So the Sorg stuff isn't in here, right? These do not really show any change to... There's nothing... Who was saying there was something with Crackling Energy in here? Oh, here it is. I overread that. Yeah, okay, so in general, not really anything interesting in here, right? Yeah, I thought there would be like a class section below there. But I thought it would already include the other stuff, which was bot fixed. They said they're gonna change the tooltips, but you know, it looks like it is not in the patch notes. So I don't know, I felt like this was not better, but this ring is also not perfectly masterwork. So now, new one. Stash that. So, and now if you do the new one, right, you get the missed equipment from the last run. You can salvage it. So I feel like that's a pretty good way. Getting some extra materials. %88 and 0.2 well, you know, probably around the same. They're both bad. I cannot tell you. It's probably roughly the same. They're both not very good, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm still gonna check on the Crackling Energies thing. Well, I'm not gonna call it Crackling Energy build. I like the Asadoras build or whatever. At least I can trade now again and get the items I need for the builds. Chain Lightning, you don't really need crazy items. Because you're gonna play Starless Skies and... So what I want to play with Chain Lightning is I want to play Starless Skies and Crown of Lucion. Because Crown of Lucion doesn't really affect that at all, because it just increases your resource cost. But the real mana drain with Chain Lightning build happens from the pants, which is not like an effect which is increased by resources. So basically it doesn't matter if you cast a Chain Lightning for like 80 mana if you have like 400 mana pool. So you basically get the effect of Crown of Lucion for free. And I think it's going to be still much stronger than Shaco in that combination. You don't really need the cooldown reduction anyway in the Chain Lightning build. So you would probably want to do Crown of Lucion plus Starless Skies. And you wanna... I don't even know if you wanna have Tal Rasha Ring. You could probably get Tal Rasha Ring with another stack. You could temper like poison damage on your weapon because you don't really need it on Chain Lightning, I believe. I don't think you need the extra cast of Chain Lightning or anything. Yeah, I think it's best for it, actually. I mean, the 4 extra ranks from Shaco is, I think, like a 20% damage increase or something like that. Maybe 25, but not more. And the Crown of Lucian is like a, what is it even? 75% multiplier, right? And yeah, the mana cost increase really doesn't matter for that build, because that's not what's limiting you. What's limiting you is the mana drain coming from the Axial Conduit. That shouldn't be affected by that. It should be a static number. So I think it will work very well. And then it depends on the explosions from the Chain Lightning, right? They do 20k base damage. I don't think that's too horrible in an area of effect scenario. The 20k base damage is not too shabby at all. I mean, maybe it doesn't work at all. I still haven't checked that out completely. With, so my take there would be to not choose attack speed, basically. Or maybe just, you know, just choose like one attack speed affix. And then go for resource generation affixes. And max resource affixes, basically. But not sure. I will try to make it function. If I cannot get it to sustain more than 15 Chain Lightnings, I'm probably gonna call it failed. I mean, I'm still gonna make it a build. But, you know, it should beat Infernal Hordes tier 8 in a reasonable amount of time. Unless, if not, I wouldn't really call it a build. And it should do that without putting the Lightning Spear aspect. If it can clear Infernal Hordes tier 8 without the Lightning Spear aspect in a reasonable amount of time with the bosses, then I feel like it's alright. If it requires the Lightning Spear aspect, for me it's not a Chain Lightning build, it's a Lightning Spear build, which is just a weaker variant because for whatever reason, it's just weaker because we play Chain Lightning instead of Frozen Orb, Amulet, Winterglass, whatever. So yeah, I wanna see if that actually works. I also haven't checked like out the Chain Lightning aspects at all. Like, would you use both Chain Lightning aspects or just the one with the extra bounces? I think the one doesn't work on the pants, right? The one which gave 4 extra bounces or something like that. I think that doesn't work. I haven't tried yet. But somebody said it doesn't work. But the other one, when hitting a boss or crowd-controlled enemy, gets an extra bounce. That was supposed to be working, I guess. Ah, now I remember what I wanted to do. I wanted to check the lucky hit chance of Chain Lightning. This started as a decent run. Could be decent. Lots of Hellborn. Jinxed it. I don't know. I'm also like kind of getting bored of this. So I guess it's fresh to make some new builds. Because nobody is making builds. Everybody's just playing this so boring. I have to buy like one of those Esadoras before like everybody's watching that weird rage gaming video and the prices skyrocket. Oh wow. Like the explosions are... Where's my Hellborns? Like, did this wave spawn a single Hellborn? I don't know, Infernal Hordes feel a little bit weird. Since I don't even know when it started. Like, I also have this Hellborn not spawning, like, so often. There's one spawn, there's a second. There's literally nothing spawning here. I mean, I don't have any Exalted Hordes, so I guess Exalted Hordes is very important for a good run. If you don't get any Exalted Hordes, you're not gonna get a good run. What would you need for that build? Just greater FX intelligence on everything, basically, right? I mean, there's some crazy items which give like a bunch of alt stats, actually. I don't even know which one those were. Doombringer. I guess Doombringer gives like 200 alt stats or something like that. It's actually crazy. Yeah, I don't want to play Andaria. I don't want to play an attack speed build there. Yeah, but it doesn't give a lot of percent stats at all. So, like a greater FX intro will be better. No, the Doombringer gives like 120 base stats or so. It's like very high. And with Chain Lightning and High Lucky Hit, it might actually not be that terrible. I mean, it does decent damage. And it also gives you free Shadow, right? So you don't really lose on the temper. No, I don't think Andariels is... I mean, in Chain Lightning, Andariels isn't really beneficial because you don't want to spam Chain Lightnings. Right? Because if you spam Chain Lightnings, you're just gonna get mana drained and they're gonna expire and you want them to explode. So... I don't think that build is all that attack speed hungry. I feel like it's more raw damage. Because it doesn't really matter if you can only sustain 10 Chain Lightnings at a time. Your attack speed doesn't really matter at all because you just replenish them then once a second or something like that. So you don't really benefit from spamming attack speed wise. That's my thinking there. And also like the you cannot really scale the poison over damage in that build, and the Lucian just gives like so much damage. Well, that's good. They stay nice together. Right, so I get 40. So I used to get 50 to 50, 50 to 55. So I definitely lose out on... Well, that was just 50. But I would say I have like 15% less conjurations. I guess that's the story. But I mean, I still can kill them decently fast. No problem. How much int does that Asadoras give? If you double masterwork on the percent intelligence. Like 30 or so? 26 with 1, okay. So like somewhere around 30, 32. I mean, that's actually a decent amount, right? If you think about it. Let me just buy one of these real quick. Right, I want items. I want Isadoras. I can probably filter for greater FX. And can I? Look at these. Why would you want to pay? Okay, so what's the maximum? 3.5 billionos for 4 greater FX? Do I want that? I might as well just get this one for like 30 million. Right. I think you want to have the high Lightning Nova damage roll here, right? $7 ago? What's wrong with them? What is this? All these stats don't matter at all, right? It's whatever. $400 million. Be happy, bro. There's another one. Oh, this is a 4 greater affix again. Wait, this has 10k? Why does this have so much? Right. We got one, bro. Let's see what we're actually buying here. What was that even? 400 million? Oh, that was the big one. Guy. Leonard. What? Lich. The Lich. The Lich King. But I'm in Europe, so... What am I buying here? It's decent, right? It's worth 400 million, why not? Alright, got that covered. So let's stash that one. I mean, really, the other stats don't matter. Like, who cares about the crackling energy damage for real? Like, that's not gonna do any damage. So... And damage reduction per crackling energy charge, honestly, yeah, that's nice, but... I mean, how many charges do you have? Like, is it like 10 or 15? I don't even know. But yeah, so this is 1,000... So this would be like a 72k base, right? If I put this on right now. And I go to the dummies. Yeah, I mean, I don't care about the crackling energy damage, honestly. I don't think it's gonna do any damage. But if it does any damage, I can still buy a new one. I just wanted to get one to try it out. Let's just put this on without any master working whatsoever. So now I have 2.1k int, right? Let's just generate some crackling here. Maybe should put on damage numbers. Let's get a little stack of crackling there. Okay. Well, the problem is... Okay, I can only run through it without conch mastery. So that overpowered for 10 million. I mean, it's not too shabby at all. I mean, I cannot have any Conjuration Mastery multiplayers while I run in here, basically, right? So... It was 6 million. 6 million, not even masterwork, so it's probably gonna go up to like 15 million or so. Without any mods, and with mods, it's probably gonna go up to like 50 or 100 maybe. But as you can see, like these dummies are like super clunky, right? But with this, you're not gonna generate any crackling energy, so you need to basically put chain lightning to generate crackling energy, right? So if you do this with chain lightnings, you can probably generate a decent amount of crackling. I mean, I still don't think the Amulet will be good for the build. I mean, it might be fun, but I don't think it's gonna push your damage higher than a regular one. This was like 6 millions. 6 million without any buffs, right? Just with Tal Russia. So you would have to add Conjuration Mastery. Let's make it like 10 stacks or so. And I mean, Conjuration Mastery without any buffs is really not so strong, right? You just really have the base damage. But, I mean, you get some more damage buffs. Like, you get the what's it called? Like, the stagger and all that shit, right? So, and obviously we have, like, Lightning Spear aspect, which is not damage. We have Frozen Orbit aspect, which is not damage, right? So there's basically 2 damage aspects missing. We don't have, the big spender here, right? So if we put on Starless Skies and with Lucian, I don't even know which one. I think I have a Masterwork one somewhere. Yeah, this one here. So if we put on these 2 and we repeat. Oh, I need to put something which spans mana. It's charge bolts? No. Yeah, this is obviously not gonna work. But let's just pretend it works. Now we run in with the stacks. That was like 12 millions or so. It's really hard to replicate without having like a build which is not inflated by like all these lightning spear damage numbers and shit like that. Anyway, I mean, I'm gonna try it out. It might work. Might work okay. I don't think it's gonna be like a super strong build, honestly, but... Here's my Ringo. This my Ringo? Or is this my ring? This is my ring. Well, again, this build doesn't work at this point. But the crown just gives you 75% damage, right? That's a crazy buff. And you don't care about the resource cost because the Axial Conduit is not gonna... So, if I put this on, like without anything, right? Where's this Axial Conduit one? So, yeah. So let me just put on... Where is it? This one here. This one I was looking for. So if I just put this on, right, without any masterworking whatsoever. And now I just spam Chain Lightnings, right? Was a little bit too fast. Why is my mana reg so horrible? I guess this doesn't work without mana regeneration. Right, so now I have 1, right? Now I'm doing a second. Okay, I guess this is impossible to showcase. I mean, I can add the Starless Skies. But this is very hard to showcase without having the proper gear yet. But if you put on the crown, your mana cost of the Chain Lightning goes up, right? But you don't really care because, you know, the Chain Lightning is just bouncing, right? And this is not gonna get increased. So you basically get the buff for free from the Lucian, right? So, and then, you know, this is, at this point, this, again, this requires mana regeneration, right? But, no, you cannot spam. There's no possibility to spam these. I don't think that's gonna work. But anyway, you would do so little damage. I think the goal would be lucky hit mana to capitalize on lucky hit mana, because you can get like Chain Lightning has a 77% lucky hit chance right now with my with my current setup, and if you have lucky hit mana, which I probably don't have at all. I mean, why would I keep items with lucky hit mana, right? It doesn't make any sense. But I think with lucky hit mana, you can actually fill your entire mana pool. You have the correct setup. But I don't think I have anything with lucky hit mana. Yeah, but Starlight's aspect on Ring and Andariel's Helm is just gonna be like 100% damage loss right there. I just don't feel like that is gonna be sufficient. I really don't want a fixed resource like that. And also, I think it's not gonna be infinite. But not sure if it is. But I feel like it's too much of a damage loss. But I'm gonna figure that out. Stuff. Where is my Ringo? Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's not gonna be. I just think it's not gonna be the best though. I mean, Crackling hits for 20k at least. We can probably even get it to hit like for like 500 or a million. I just feel like the cost of putting a resource aspect is too high. And also the cost of playing Andariels might be too high. You just lose like so much damage. But I don't know. I will try it out. Second. So basically what you do is, right, you take these. I mean, I don't even have Andariels, I have to craft one anyway.
Come back if you need work.
Yeah, no, it is a huge loss in damage to play something like that. So the problem is you are investing into very high attack speed for an ability which doesn't really need attack speed, right? And Darius basically does no damage. It just gives you like extra attack speed. You can really ignore the Andariel's Nova. It doesn't scale unless you know, really aggressively scale it, which is possible. But you're probably running critical strike damage gear, which then doesn't scale you Andariel's. So I don't know. You have Lightning Rod? Are you sure we're talking about Lightning Rod? Like you're talking about that aspect which zaps for or salve and damage? Isn't that Lightning Rod? Or is ours Lightning Rod the Chain Lightning one? Lightning Rod increases Chain Lightning damage? Isn't Lightning Rod the one which makes Chain Lightning bounce or something like that? Extra bounces? Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah, but that's... I mean... Yeah. I wouldn't play that, honestly. That's just a 40% damage increase against bosses and against non-bosses. I mean, it doesn't scale with anything but Chain Lightning, so I don't know if I would play this. Honestly, I would probably... I mean, I don't know how about the bouncing ones, right? How, like... No, this is not... Like, I feel like this one, but I don't know if this one works with... It's 160%? No, it's not 160%, it's 80%. If you put it on a 2 and a weapon, it's 160%, but then you also have to compare it with other stuff. Yeah, but that... You are like... But there's a misconceptualization about that, right? So you're 160. First of all, it's not 160, right? You have to cut this in half. Because this is just 50% chance for 160. So this is for real a 40% damage increase. On a 200, this is an 80% damage increase. But what you have to do is, on a 200, it's just one multiplier. So it's one 80% multiplier. Right? And two 30% multipliers are actually more than one 80% multiplier. Is it more? I didn't make the calculations. What is 1.3 times 1.3? Right, it's 1.69. So it's a 10% less than the 80, right? But you get Wand+Focus in exchange. So don't misunderstand the concept of having one big multiplier being better just because it sounds better, but actually having two multipliers is actually better because they multiply with each other. So two 1.3 multipliers is almost the same than one 1.8 multiplier. And again, your multiplier only works for Chain Lightning, right? So if you play Andariels, for example, it's not gonna work on your Andariels damage, right? It's just gonna work on your Chain Lightning damage. Not going to work on your Chain Lightning explosion damage. It's probably also not going to work on that. That's a different ability. I guarantee you a 100% the Chain Lightning explosion from the Axle Conduit is not going to be increased by that. Because I don't think that's going to be Chain Lightning damage. I mean, I didn't verify that, but, you know, I have a feeling that's not going to be increased by that. So, I would rather just take the regular aspects, honestly. Just put on a Starless, guys, gives you like 50%. Just put on a Talrasha, gives you 80%. And then use your aspect slots on your Wand+Focus, for example. I would think that's gonna be the much better way there. But I haven't tried it out. But I would probably not want to run a 2 and a weapon in that setup. I would probably still want to run Wand+Focus. Also because I can get maximum resource on my focus and stuff like that, so... Well, that's what I say, the explosion probably doesn't count as Chain Lightning damage. So that aspect wouldn't work on the explosion. Well, I would assume the explosion just gets, like, all your regular multipliers, right? It gets crit damage, it gets vuln damage, it gets lightning damage. It just doesn't get Chain Lightning damage. If you really want to use a Doombringer, I don't know. I mean, I get the survivability story on the Doombringer, really, but it's still a huge damage loss playing that. So, I don't know, I don't really have survivability issues other than these guys one-shotting me. They're also gonna one-shot you through a Doombringer. But yeah, I mean, I would figure that out. I would try what's the best variant of that build. Oh, I'm just wondering. I don't have flame shit on my bar, I still have Chain Lightning, so... I'm casting chain lightnings instead of flame shields. That's actually funny. You could actually play Axel Conduit here and, you know, keep chain lightnings up with this mana regeneration like the crazy hybrid build. I wonder if that's gonna be any good. How much base damage does it have? 200k? With Conch Mastery? Not too bad, right? On a level 1. I'm just gonna try something real quick here. I mean, if you can get 30 with one and 20 with the other, then go with the 30. Where's my... Let's just masterwork this real quick. I just wanna try something stupid here.
Not bad. What will it be?
Game. Come on, just give me the stupid mana resource one. Again, please. Nice. Let's go. Look, if I masterwork my junk stuff, like I hit the triple crits like a boss. All right, let me just try this. Now I have like, why do it doesn't work in town. It activates outside town. So now we have 242. So wait, what? All junk. Okay. So... Ah, they cast double. So, I mean, you can sustain... 6 easy on top of Frozen Orbs. I mean, I don't think they don't... I mean, it's stupid. Because, I mean, I literally don't think it does anything. But you get decent resource generation from the big Conjuration Mastery. I want to see at the boss fight if I really see the Chain Lightnings doing anything. I mean, these Chain Lightning expire pretty fast, right? I thought they would be way longer in the air. I mean, I have no clue. I cannot even see the Chain Lightnings. I just look at the skill bar and I don't even see what's going on. But I got the 3 firebolts from the Desecrator. I mean, but you know, I don't need the mana, right? So I just as well use them for Chain Lightnings. It's kind of funny though. Yeah, it's really, I couldn't even tell what the Chain Lightnings are doing, honestly. Because they get spawned automatically via unstable currents anyway, right? So I don't even need to put it on the bar. Yeah. Maybe that's the smarter version there, right? Just slamming on that actual conduit, because it just passively gives you chain lightnings during unstable currents, which is essentially free damage. And like the pan slot is so unimportant anyway. I'm really interested how it works out at the boss, how many chain lightnings. Or well, I won't see how many chain lightnings I have if I don't have it on my bar, right? So I might as well keep it on my bar, so I can see it. Maybe it goes up to like 8. I would like to see how much damage these do. Hold on, let me just pull a recording after this, so I can see. That's actually a cool synergy, because I wouldn't even need it on my bar, right? I could just passively cast it via unstable currents. And the pants also give damage reduction, so it's not even so bad to play them. Yeah, I lose like a good amount of max life right now, but... Yeah, like a DPS calc would be nice, right? So let me just do a recording here real quick. Oh, I'm gonna do a recording on the bosses anyway, then I'm gonna see how much they do. I'm gonna do a recording now. I mean, what this would open, right? If you wanted, you could play Tal Rasha Ring with this. Not Tal Rasha, Star Disguise. But I don't think it's beneficial to do that. I'm just gonna pull the recording after this and I can see... Well, T-Bolt, I don't even play T-Bolt. I want to rather play like something... I played Lucky Hit Aspect, basically. I don't even know. Like, I'm not scaling this damage, right? So... I mean, it gets kind of scaled a little bit, but you could also... Like, I don't even have the extra damage on Chain Lightnings, right? So... But I really... All I want to care... Like, I want to see how much the explosion actually does. Right? That's pretty much the only thing I care about. I don't think the regular Chain Lightning is gonna do, like, amazing damage at all. I'm just more, like, interested in the explosion damage there. Because that is a 20k base, and is true AoE. And it scales with all your Conjuration Mastery stacks, right? And basically it scales with everything in this build, right? Because we have all crit damage. So there's really no multiplier which this doesn't scale with. So I will look at the recording after this and see how much these actually do. Should be fairly easy to say. That's like that's a pretty big explosion, right? I don't even need like flame shield. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, they take a while, but, you know, since it's passive damage. Okay, I'm gonna do another recording. Gonna see what happens with the bosses. But with the bosses, we should easily be able to, like, get much more. I mean, I'm not I shouldn't be casting these manually. I mean, you don't really get so many out of unstable currents, honestly. I mean, I'm tempted to manually cast these because I wanna, but you shouldn't do that. You should just rely on the unstable currents one. I hate the flame guy. I didn't concentrate because I was looking at my bar all the time to see how many chain lightnings I have floating. So now I have like this guy alone. Takes forever to kill. Right. What's the best way to farm gold? Trade. I guess technically the best way is to just do these chests, but honestly it's trade. Like trade is gonna net you like a million times more gold than farming this chest. Right, this is the last run. I'm gonna pull the recording and see how much chain lightning damage I actually got. Yeah, but I think that circling around you damage is not so relevant. I mean, I don't even know how much that ticks for. I'm more for like the explosion, which has like a 20k base damage. Which is, you know, that should explode for like 15 to 20 million, I would assume, somewhere around that. Which has, and it has true AoE, so I don't even think it's that bad. So let's see. Go through the gear first. I want to keep the int mana per second one. I don't need this.
Hello.
What? I hate the stash tab selection. Super annoying that it always pulls off like this lost items tab here.
What will it be?
Okay, so let me just pull this one in the Hordes. Let's wait for, okay, now I have 25 conjurations, so let's see. One explodes. Where's my explosions? I'm gonna wait until I see one and then I'm gonna skip back. There was some. See, that was the 30 million. I'm pretty sure that was the explosion there. That is. Okay, now it's gonna come. There's 30 million explosion. Or 4.6. One of those is gonna be the explosion. I think it's not gonna be the... I think the 30 million was the lightning spear, actually. So this was the regular hit chain lightning, 2.6 million. Then we have... So now the chain lightning is back. There it comes again. No, that is the chain. So this is the lightning spear arc, I would assume. Yeah, and this is the chain lightning explosion for 4.6. Okay, I mean, that's not too good, honestly. I thought it would be doing more. Check the bosses. This is going to be a little bit more difficult to figure out. I'm going to wait until I have just one. There was one. I think this is not going to be possible to figure out. Okay, where's the explosion? Okay, there was. Unfortunately, you cannot skip back frames. There's no way I'm going to see that. This is the explosion. Yeah, but I couldn't see. I would assume it's somewhere of the 3 millions here. But yeah, so, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be worth it for the passive amount of damage here. I mean, 6 million is horrible. I mean, it's half of a lightning spear, honestly. But you don't really need the AoE in Hordes, right? So it's maybe gonna hit like 2 mobs or so, or maybe 3 at max. So that wouldn't be good enough damage. So if we just fire this without anything... I mean, without resource, you can even, like, you cannot even sustain more than 2. This is like freaking slow, man. This actually hits for way more. 300k. Is that even hitting? Are you sure this is even doing damage? Okay, it is. It's super weird. It doesn't do a whole lot though, but you know, if you stack a bunch of them. Like if you would stack 20 of those, like somehow you could get decent single target out of this maybe. Yeah. Would be interesting how many you can actually do with this. Because you can also add another Tarasha stack because you... Oh. I'm gonna try that out this weekend. Yeah, I want to really try to do it with Lucky Hit. Lucky Hit mana. But not sure if that's gonna work. I mean, at 77%, every hit has like a 3.5% chance to restore. So I don't think that would be enough. At a 3.5. Because it only comes back one time, right? It only hits the boss once. That's the issue I'm having there. But if you play this one aspect, it can hit twice, I think, right? You do the... what it's called. Oh wait, wasn't there like an aspect which Chain Lightning would hit an additional target when it's crowd controlled? Or did they change that to this one here? I think they changed it. But does it work with Unbroken Tether? Or does it just do nothing with Unbroken Tether? Probably not working at all on that, right? It comes back more. So it instead of 11 times, it chains 16 times? Okay, that's stupid. That wouldn't make any sense. It's just a wasted aspect. But I don't know, if you get like decent ranks on Chain Lightning, like you can get another one. Well, you cannot really get more ranks. Because I mean, you don't have to play Fist of Fate if you don't want to play Lucky Hit Mana, so you would play regular gloves with this, I guess. I don't think Lucky Hit Mana is gonna work. I think this is still too low with the Chain Lightnings. Just doesn't hit enough times. But I will try it. Fist of Fate only does something with if you have like Lucky Hit Mana. I don't think there's anything else you can trigger with this. Yeah, maximum resource and generation. Yeah, it should say maximum resource, but it is maximum resource. So you have basically, right, 242 with this. And this should scale with base resource, right? So if you get more base resource in, for example, let's just put this here real quick. If you get this base resource here, for example. Right now we have an extra, what is this? 16 plus 16, 32 mana, right? No, this is 12. 12 plus 16, so 28 extra mana. Right, and now we have 294. 157. 294. So that basically works on your base pool, right? So now I have 294. Now I have just 242. So basically whatever max resource you get with this, right? If you get greater FX maximum resource stuff on, you know, for example on, I guess you can get it on a focus. Maybe I have one. This one here. So now I have 242, right? Now I put this on. Now it goes to 278. So it basically doubles all your resources you're getting. So you could get to a decent amount of max resource with this. But yeah, if you say Frozen Orb skill points is not good, then go watch somewhere else. I don't care what you say, actually. I don't know how much you could reach, actually. Probably fairly limited. Maybe you can reach 400, but I don't know if it makes sense or not. I really have to try it out. I think you cannot get so much maximum resource. Because I think that's only on focus and... I think it's on rings. Not even sure where it can be on. There's also... I mean, you could get... I mean, it doesn't make sense to play the shard of, like, Veraciel. It's, like, literally useless. I think there's no real... I mean, there's some resource... I don't even know if there's any good maximum resource items, honestly. Other than that. I mean, this is also, like, garbage. I mean, this is gonna remove your resource, basically, right? How much do you get from this? I always wanted to try this with decent resource. So now you have 844. Oh, this is so bad. This doesn't even show up. I think this is just crit multi. Also, it says instead. Each point of primary resource guarantees critical strike damage instead. But I still have my resource. So, is this a crit multi or what is it? I don't understand this amulet. I don't know, I mean, it says it said instead, right? So if I read this, I think it's gonna remove my primary resource above 100. But it doesn't really. So my assumption is it's multiplier. But 0.2 is just so low. The critical strike chance bonus, obviously that is, you get 40%, right? From this with 100 resource. So this is basically free crit. But the amulet is dog shit. Like there's just, the stats are so crappy. And even if the 0.2 is like crit multi, like, what's it gonna do? Like, each point of primary resource above 100. So if you get 300, then you get, what, like 200 times 0.2? Which is 40% multi. I don't even know if this thing is working at all. It doesn't. You cannot see it. This doesn't show in the tooltip or anything. It's just not showing up. Doesn't have to do anything with it anyway. It just says each point of primary resource grants you critical strike damage. But it, I mean, I would assume it's a multiplier. I don't think it. I think it's just a regular crit multi. Yeah. But even if you would have like 300 primary resources, it would just be like a 60% multi on an amulet. That's really not any good. And the stats on this are like pure garbage. So I don't think this has any use, no matter how much resource you have. Anyway, so I'm gonna try this out this weekend. And I'll see if I can make like some working Chain Lightning build with this. So anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for that Chain Lightning build, which is probably not even gonna work. Take care.